And now let's take a look, guys, on the new helicopters and missiles and everything helicopter related in this update, okay? So we start off with the new Apache, the E model, the Guardian Apache, whatever you want to call it. It is a pretty amazing helicopter, actually. It is one of the most advanced helicopters, of the Apache series, of course. And obviously, it is the most advanced in War Thunder. Very interesting, because of course it is the same vehicle, but it does have a lot more performance. And also, it does have the interesting AGM-179 JAGM-MR IR. So yes, guys, this thing is actually pretty amazing. So now we actually have a TV guided, as you see. IR, right, thermal, guided, low smoke, as you see, I just realized that, fire and forget, Hellfire, pretty much, okay? So this is what kinda is this missile. So, and it has a pretty significantly good range, so as you can see, we can fire in multiple targets at once, and it won't matter. I mean, I'm kinda... Look at that. I mean, look at this, man. So, yeah, finally, we do not have a Hellfire that it's fire and forget, but we do have the AGM. Is it the best missile ever? Maybe not, but it is something that the Americans were desperately wanting for a very long time, guys. So, yeah, this will be the main feature of it. As you see, of course, we do have a pretty good longbow radar, of course. We have thermal systems. We have a MAL system that it's very good. We have all sorts of good things about this helicopter, but the main thing will be the addition of this new missile, okay? As you saw, it is a pretty interesting missile because it is fire and forget. It is a TV guided, right? So fire and forget, it is this missile here. He's the normal Hellfire, so they're very similar if you look into them. And overall, it makes the Apache be a missile that a helicopter that it's on par with the powers launchers, spike launchers, stuff like that, right? So very, very cool. So let's take a look on the actual stat card of the missile here. You can clearly see 16 kilometers. It can do 20 maybe, but I don't know about that. And yeah, overall, it's gonna be that. It's gonna be just an Apache with kind of a very advanced Hellfire. One thing to talk about is that you cannot take a full loadout of them. In the outside, ones, you need to take something else. So the normal Hellfires, the APKWS, right? The normal, like, Hydra guided by laser, right? The normal Hydras as well. Something else you gotta take. But you can take 8 of these AGM. So it is pretty interesting. It is a helicopter that will be one of the best in the game just because of that missile, okay? So let's take a look on some of the others. We have, of course, the Mi-35P, which is a very interesting helicopter. It's a squadron helicopter, okay? And it is basically the upgraded Mi-24, just like the M is, but with some other changes. So it's a little bit more of a cheaper model, I would say, or an ongoing... Not a cheaper model, that's kind of a weird wording, but it's an upgrade to older Mi-24s. That's kind of the idea here, okay? This is the Phoenix upgrade, if I'm not mistaken. So the main thing that I wanted to show to you guys is that this thing has the VCUR. So yes, we have the VCUR on an Mi-35, which is pretty insane. We also have the Atakas. You can also use it. But of course, I mean, no reason to use the Ataka if you have the VCUR. Even if you take less of them, the VCUR is just a better missile. And of course, you can take the Iglas as well. So it is a pretty interesting helicopter. Let's fly it out a bit. So here we have it, as you see. How do I know it's kind of a modernized one? You kind of don't. It just feels like one, right? I don't know about the gear, if it's gonna have a retractable gear. I don't think it will. But everything else looks exactly like a normal Mi-35, right? The main difference here is gonna be the VCUR, in my opinion, right? So as you see, we can have the VCUR just going around here and getting some kills, which is a pretty interesting missile to have in the Mi-35, right? We do not have a cockpit yet, and one thing that is pretty good, that is different from an Mi-24, is that it has thermal systems as well here. So, yeah, very cool. Very, very similar to the Mi-35M if you really look into it. The pylons are a little bit different and stuff because it's more of a modernized Mi-24 than anything else. It does have the malls and everything, so it is a pretty interesting helicopter, but nothing too crazy, nothing too different from what you already know from Mi-35. Like I said, it is Squadron Vehicle 11.7. Another thing is this, guys. The Mi-28NM just received a new missile, the LMUR, or this Delie 305. I think that's it, right? So you can take this missile, which is the new missile for the Russians, which is on par with the other TV-guided missiles that they are putting there. So the IR-guided, INS, GNSS, of course, 15 kilometers. And yeah, it is going to be fire and forget. So another helicopter that got fire and forget weapons. So we're going to test it out a little bit. So again, 15 kilometers of range. It means that it can actually be pretty good. You are a little bit more limited on loadouts to the Apache, but, you know, it doesn't matter. Still, you know, just like the Apache, you can just do like this and get as many kills as you want. In real life, this thing has actually a form of you to actually guide it like a TV missile from Battlefield, right? But of course, this is not really something that it's actually doable here, but it doesn't matter. It's just crazy good with an enormous amount of range. And yeah, fire and forget again, guys. Of course, smoke, anything with that will make these missiles not work. Remember, for example, the AGM-179 in real life could use a radar to not have that, you know, so even in smoke, it could actually be able to, you know, attack a target. But they didn't add that kind of version for it. They added just a normal seeker. So everybody's kind of receiving these. Even the Chinese are receiving these. So the CM-502 KG over here again, another missiles like that, missile that is like that, 25 kilometers of range. Guarantee range is 16 kilometers. So of course depends on altitude and many other things. IR as well. And yeah, a very interesting missile. Again, this is a better version, I would say, than the Mi-28. Because you can take more of them. So you can take 8 of them, but then take some other missiles like Iglas or the TY-90 over here to defend itself. So it is pretty interesting to have this type of thing to actually be able to, you know, have, you know, basically a fire and forget missile for all helicopters. And that's the objective here, right? Again, I mean, it's the same way that it works, right? And you can see the missile just going. So this is going to be the longer range one, okay? Like I said, it can get up to like 25 kilometers of range if you get enough, you know, altitude and stuff. But of course, I don't think that's normally the distance. You don't even need that much distance. To be honest, if you are at like 20 kilometers, it will already be enough. And remember, guys, this is a fire and forget weapon. All of these are, which means that you just do a pop-up, you launch the missile, and you get away from it. So pretty cool, guys. All these helicopters are very, very much receiving a major buff, receiving these missiles, right? And the last thing that I wanted to talk about is this, the Mi-35, the new helicopter that comes in this sideline for the Japanese over here, that it's an Indonesian Mi-24P made for export, okay? So it's the exact same, 9.7, exactly the same, uses the Sturm missile, uses the R-60s, it has the normal rockets, everything. So nothing will change over here, okay? It's just a normal, it still has the 30mm here. It's just a normal Mi-24P, but for export for them. I think it's pretty cool, especially because it is a very different helicopter from what they have here. Kind of weird, Indonesia just appeared out of nowhere here, but yeah, I guess it makes sense. And it opens up the future for more vehicles like this. So these are it, guys. These are all the new missiles, all the new stuff for helicopters in the dev server. Very cool, in my opinion, very cool. So I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and bye, guys. See ya.